Hi, welcome back to the Alexandra Show. I'm Alexandra and I'm going to be showing you how to do a simple, everyday, classic blow dry like this. I've already washed and prepped my hair. I used your Hair Assistant Prep Shampoo from Davines, and then I used their Prep Rich Balm Conditioner. And so now I'm going to describe the products that I'm using and show you how much of them to use. So I always start out with Goldwell's Carasilk Reconstruct Blow Dry. And so this you can spray pretty generously all over your hair. And again, I've already combed my hair out, but it's a really great detangler and it helps get it nice and smooth, and you want to make sure just to comb out from the bottom up, keeping your hair nice and healthy. And then I'm going to use Davines Oil All-in-One Milk. And so this is a pretty concentrated product, so just make sure that you're not overusing it. Concentrating it mostly on your ends and mid-lengths where you need the most amount of moisture. Then I'm going to lay in R&Co's Chiffon Styling Mousse. So this is a really great lightweight mousse that has a little bit of hold, but it's not too sticky. You can put this all over your hair. I like to focus it mostly on the roots and the crown, where I want the most amount of volume. Whoops. And then the final thing I'm going to put in is Orbe's new Straightaway Smoothing Blowout Cream. So I don't need a ton of this. My hair is naturally curly, as you can kind of see it starting to curl up. So this just gives a little bit more muscle, a little bit of hold, but doesn't add any stickiness or heaviness to the hair. And again, this I'm mostly focusing on the ends as if I was putting in a ponytail. And then whatever's left over on my hands, I just kind of work through the rest of my hair. And so for some people this may seem like a lot of product. I always have no less than 3 or 4 products in my hair when I blow dry them. And if you use the proper amounts, it won't ever feel weighed down. All right, so now I'm gonna start the blow dry, and I always start out kind of doing a little bit of a rough blow dry. And so this is gonna make sure that your hair is prepped and ready. You don't wanna go straight in with a round brush unless you have super curly hair, because you'll just get tired and kind of lose your steam. And so I'm going to show you how I'm going to rough dry. And so I'm going to start by using my fingers and creating some tension going on my hairline first. And then I'm going to go through and get most of the roots dry, and I'll get my hair about 75% dry before I start using the brush. So today I'm using GHD's hair dryer, and yeah, so I'll let you watch. So if you have any cowlicks or if your hairline is particularly curly, you definitely want to start there. Make sure that you're using a good amount of tension with your fingers. And what I'm focusing on right now is getting the root area dry, because once you get the brush in, it's harder to get that root area dry, and you don't want it to frizz up on you later. So really focus the heat on the root area, just some constant motion with your fingers. And if it's easier for you to flip your head upside down, go ahead and flip your head upside down to get at that root area. So now that I've gotten my hair most of the way dry, I'm gonna go ahead and clip it up. So again, starting right on just kind of the top section, using my trusty butterfly clips and just clipping that totally out of the way. And then doing the next section kind of right midway. Depending on how much hair you have, you just want to take manageable sections, clip that up nice and clean out of the way, and then I'm just going to start from the bottom up. So again, at this point you want your hair to be dry, but not so dry, especially if you have curly hair, because once you go past a certain point of dryness, it's going to be harder to pull that curl out with the round brush. So make sure it still has some dampness to it. And then just go ahead in there with the round brush. You can see I'm flipping it back and forth, going in all different directions. This will give your hair a nice fluid movement, as opposed to always going in the same direction. It will look a little too helmet heady. And you can see once I get to the ends, I'm kind of letting the dryer off of the brush and letting the hair sit on the brush for a minute to cool. The brush that I'm using, the Carecro brush, is a ceramic center, and so it actually heats up as an iron would. And if your hair was longer, you can see how I'm pulling all my hair forward. If your hair is longer, it's even easier because you can totally work, just basically divide it down the back and pull everything up front and work up front. The shorter your hair, the more you're gonna have to kind of wiggle it back and forth. And then you'll see I'll go in with my hands to kind of see and make sure that that area is dry, that it's nice and smooth. Moving on to the next section, but the same techniques. So you can see I'm just using the brush to pick up each section of hair. So just using it to grip it. In the beginning, when you're just learning how to do this, you might have a lot of putting your dryer down, putting your brush down, sectioning your hair, and then going back in. But once you get comfortable, you can just use the brush to pick up each section of hair. Again, making sure every section is 100% dry. The key to a good blow dry is having the hair 100% dry, so that way once you're done, nothing's gonna dry on its own and frizz up later. So moving on to the top section, this is a personal preference. I don't like to part my hair before I start blow drying it because I like my part to be a little more organic. So I just kind of let it down and then again, just pick up as much as you can on the brush and work from there, just kind of going back and forth. The more you direct it straight up, the more volume that you'll get out of the hair. And it's a nice shoulder workout also. So moving into the very front section, and again, if your hair is super curly or super resistant, or if blow drying is new and challenging for you, you probably definitely want to start in the front so you get that done first and make sure that you have the hair going just as you want it. But you'll see me putting the brush underneath and then on the back and over directing it forward and back and forward and back just to get a really nice movement. With the dryer, I'm always keeping the nozzle of the dryer slightly angled from the brush so that you don't have the heat directly on your hair. Then I always like to finish with a cool shot. Just to seal in the cuticle, makes it nice and shiny. And also it feels good after you've been blow drying your hair because it gets really hot sometimes. Perfect, and then you want to check the back and make sure that looks good. And this is a wonderful kind of everyday look if you want to stick with this, or if you want to go in and do any iron work, it's a good prep for that as well.